In the heart of Rome, protected by high walls and centuries of silence, lies the Vatican, the smallest country in the world, yet one of the richest in history, art, and spirituality. With an area of just 0.44 km and fewer than 900 inhabitants, it is the center of the Catholic Church and one of the most visited and symbolic places on Earth. Its origins go back in time. In the ancient area of the Ager Vaticanus, there were necropolises, patrician villas, and imperial circuses. Right here, according to tradition, the Apostle Peter was martyred and buried. In the 4th century, Emperor Constantine built the first basilica over his tomb, marking the beginning of a millennia-long history. Established as an independent state in 1929 with the Lateran Treaty, the Vatican is now a theocratic monarchy, where the Pope holds absolute power. It has its own symbols, like the flag, the coat of arms, the currency, and even a military corps, the Swiss Guard, serving since 1506. Within this tiny territory lies an unparalleled artistic and cultural heritage, St. Peter's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, the Vatican Museums, the Vatican Gardens, and the evocative Necropolis. Every stone tells a story. Every work of art, a fragment of eternity. If you enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the upcoming content. And remember, there are also Italian and Spanish versions available. Let's begin our journey through the most fascinating and mysterious places in the Vatican. St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter's Basilica, in the heart of the Vatican, is much more than a church. It's an eternal symbol of faith, art, and power. Construction began in 1506, commissioned by Pope Julius II, right above the tomb where St. Peter, the first pope, is believed to be buried. For over 120 years, the greatest masters of the Renaissance, including Bramante, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Bernini, took turns in shaping this masterpiece. As you step inside, you're surrounded by overwhelming grandeur. The Piet, sculpted by a very young Michelangelo, Bernini's massive baldachin, mosaics that look like paintings, and a nave that can hold over 60,000 people. But behind such beauty, there's also a darker side. To finance the construction, indulgences were sold, promising the forgiveness of sins in exchange for money. A controversial practice that outraged many and contributed to the outbreak of the Protestant Reformation. So, the most sacred monument in Christianity was also at the heart of one of the most serious religious crises in history. A place of wonder, but also of deep contradictions. St. Peter's Square. St. Peter's Square is the beating heart of the Vatican, a place that every visitor instantly feels is part of the history of Rome and of the world. Designed by the genius of Gian Lorenzo Bernini in the 17th century, the square is famous for its elliptical colonnade, which seems to embrace the faithful, a powerful symbol of welcome and spirituality. Every step taken here is a unique experience, a journey between faith and beauty. At the center of the square rises an ancient Egyptian obelisk, brought to Rome by Emperor Caligula in the 1st century Common Era. A silent witness to centuries of history, this obelisk represents the connection between the ancient world and Christianity. But the obelisk also carries an aura of mystery. Originally erected in Heliopolis, Egypt, it was moved to Rome in 1586 through a remarkable engineering feat ordered by Pope Sixtus V. According to some legends and popular beliefs, the obelisk was placed in a symbolic way, as if marking the continuity between the power of ancient Egypt and the birth of Christianity. Since 1817, its function hasn't been only symbolic. The obelisk also acts as the gnomon of a massive sundial, marking solstices and zodiac signs across the square, a connection between sky and earth, past and present. St. Peter's Square, then, is not just a place of faith, but one filled with mysterious connections that fascinate pilgrims and curious minds from around the world. St. Peter's Dome. St. Peter's Dome is one of the most iconic symbols of Rome and the Vatican, a masterpiece of engineering and art that dominates the skyline of the capital. Designed by Michelangelo and completed between 1588 and 1590 by Giacomo della Porta and Domenico Fontana, it rises over 133 meters high, making it one of the most majestic domes in the world. Inside, nearly 3,000 square meters are covered in stunning mosaics depicting biblical scenes and sacred figures, giving the dome a truly unique spiritual atmosphere. The panoramic climb, 551 steps, or 320 if you take the elevator to the terrace, offers a breathtaking view over Rome. From the top, the city unfolds in all its magnificence, a mosaic of history, art, and urban contradictions. As you ascend, narrow corridors and spiral staircases reveal a different Rome, a city of contrast between modernity and tradition, unveiled beneath the beauty of the dome. The Vatican Museums. The Vatican Museums are one of the most important and visited museum complexes in the world, an unmissable stop for anyone visiting Vatican City. They host art collections that span from antiquity to the modern era, with extraordinary sculptures, paintings, tapestries, and archaeological finds. Among the main highlights are the Sistine Chapel, which we will explore later, the Raphael Rooms, and the Gallery of Maps, just to name a few. Founded in the year 1506 by Pope Julius II, the museums have expanded over the centuries and now include 54 museums and 1,400 rooms, chapels, and galleries, housing treasures of exceptional value. The overall collection counts around 70,000 works, but only 20,000 are on display, while most of the treasures remain in storage, making the Vatican Museums a place of great mystery where many masterpieces and artistic secrets remain hidden from visitors' eyes. The Sistine Chapel. In the heart of the Vatican, the Sistine Chapel is one of the most renowned and captivating places in the world. Though located within the Apostolic Palace, it is accessible through the Vatican Museums and is known not only for hosting the papal conclave, but also for its solemn ceremonies. What truly sets it apart is the breathtaking power of its frescoes. The ceiling, painted by Michelangelo between the year 1508 and the year 1512, tells the stories of Genesis with unmatched expressive force. The famous Last Judgment, painted between the year 1536 and the year 1541, dominates the altar wall, a monumental work that overwhelms viewers with its dramatic intensity. Alongside Michelangelo, artists like Botticelli, Perugino, Ghirlandaio, Cosimo Rosselli, and others left their mark by decorating the side walls with scenes from the lives of Moses and Christ. The chapel's dimensions, about 41 meters long by 13 meters wide, mirror the proportions of Solomon's temple. But among the colors and figures lie hidden meanings. According to some scholars, Michelangelo embedded anatomical references, self-portraits, and enigmatic messages within the details of the Last Judgment and the ceiling, sometimes interpreted as subtle critiques of papal power or his own thoughts on faith and on the human condition. A sacred and magnetic place that continues to speak not only to faith, but to conscience and thought. The Vatican Gardens. The Vatican Gardens cover nearly half the surface of Vatican City, a hidden corner of peace behind the walls, where for centuries popes have found refuge in silence and beauty. Founded in the year 1279 by Pope Nicholas III, these gardens are a landscape masterpiece that blends nature, art, and spirituality, with fountains, statues, chapels, and historic towers that tell centuries of stories. The botanical variety is astonishing. Mediterranean, exotic, and ornamental plants from all over the world make the Vatican Gardens a truly cosmopolitan garden at the heart of Christianity. Different areas stand out, such as the Italian garden, orderly and symmetrical, the English garden, wilder and romantic, and the Pope's vegetable garden, dedicated to simplicity and meditation. But there is a detail many people do not know. The Vatican Gardens are only accessible through guided tours, booked in advance and limited in number. For centuries, they remained an exclusive space, reserved for just a few. A secret oasis where nature intertwines with power and silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. The Vatican Necropolis. Beneath the majestic St. Peter's Basilica, at a depth ranging from 5 to 12 meters, lies one of the most fascinating and mysterious places in the Vatican, the Vatican Necropolis. Used between the 1st and the 4th centuries of the Common Era, this city of the dead was reserved for freedmen, patricians, and wealthy families, with tombs adorned with mosaics, paintings, and stucco that tell ancient rituals and visions of the afterlife. What makes this place truly unique is the presence, according to tradition and archaeological evidence, of the tomb of the Apostle Peter, martyred during Nero's persecution and buried in a simple grave dug into the earth. During 20th century excavations, archaeologists discovered the so-called Trophy of Gaius, a small funerary monument from the 2nd century that already marked the site venerated by the early Christians as the burial place of the first pope. The necropolis is only accessible via limited guided tours with mandatory reservations and strict rules. Only a few lucky visitors are allowed in each day. A place steeped in history and spirituality, where archaeology, faith, and mystery intertwine, a hidden passage in the heart of the Vatican that continues to move those who are privileged to cross its threshold. Castel Sant'Angelo. Although it doesn't lie directly within Vatican territory, Castel Sant'Angelo is one of the places most deeply connected to the history of the Church and the popes. Originally built as an imperial mausoleum for Emperor Hadrian between the year 134 and the year 139 of the Common Era, the castle has undergone centuries of transformation, becoming a fortress, a papal refuge, and even a prison. What makes Castel Sant'Angelo truly fascinating is its link to the Vatican through the mysterious Passetto di Borgo, a fortified corridor almost 800 meters long, used by the popes in times of danger. This secret escape route witnessed moments of high drama, like during the sack of Rome in 1527. The fortress hides frescoed rooms, hidden passages, ancient cells, and secret courtyards, elements that fuel its aura of mystery and fascination. Today, although it serves as a museum housing collections of art, weapons, and historical artifacts, Castel Sant'Angelo still tells tales of power, fear, and protection, standing like a silent guardian of centuries-old secrets. A symbol of resistance and history, merging imperial and papal Rome in a single structure, steeped in mystery. Borgo Pio. Although it's not officially part of the Vatican, Borgo Pio is deeply tied to its history. Just steps away from St. Peter's Basilica, this charming street preserves all the atmosphere of ancient Rome. Established in the year 1565 by Pope Pius IV, it once connected Porta Castello to Porta Angelica and was also known as Borgo Sant'Anna. With its narrow alleys and traditional restaurants, the area exudes a unique charm. Not far from here lies the Passetto di Borgo, the secret corridor used by popes to escape to Castel Sant'Angelo. And even today, people tell stories and legends, like the one about the night bell or a ghost said to wander these streets. A fascinating corner of Rome, suspended between history and mystery. Castel Gandolfo. Although not directly part of the Vatican, Castel Gandolfo is deeply connected to the history of the Church, having served as the Pope's summer residence for centuries. Located in the heart of the Castelli Romani, this picturesque village overlooks the stunning Lake Albano, a place that captivates with breathtaking views and lush nature, inviting relaxation and contemplation. Among its main attractions are the Papal Palace, designed by Carlo Maderno, and now a museum open to visitors, the Church of San Tommaso di Villanova, a masterpiece by Gian Lorenzo Bernini, and the Bernini Fountain, symbols of a rich past full of history and art. But there is also a mysterious side to this place. Within the Papal Gardens lie the remains of the ancient Villa of Domitian, a grand Roman imperial residence, and the Vatican Farm, created in the 20th century, both testaments to the long-standing connection between Castel Gandolfo and the Holy See. If it is true that the popes sought refuge here to meditate away from the hectic life of Rome, Lake Albano, with its deep volcanic waters, has fueled legends and stories of hidden secrets over the centuries, making the place even more fascinating. Castel Gandolfo is also a perfect spot for outdoor activities and lake excursions. Hiking, water sports, scenic walks, and picnics by the shore take place in landscapes that combine history, nature, and mystery in a unique balance. The Vatican is not just a place, it is a symbol, a constant presence in history, in art, and in the Catholic faith. Its walls enclose centuries of mysteries, power, and beauty, and what we have seen today is only a small part of this immense heritage. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to stay updated on the next videos. You can also find the English and Spanish versions right here on the channel. And to better understand how powerful the influence of the Vatican was in European history, we recommend the Italian TV series The Medici, which portrays an era when the Church played a central role in politics, culture, and intrigue. Thank you for being with us, and we will see you on the next adventure.